We're gonna start tonight's meeting, June 30th, 2025.
I'd like to begin with warrants. I'd like to make a motion that we approve payroll number 110 for $1,964.52.
Second. Aye. We approve accounts payable for $16,196.07. Aye.
I'd like to move that we accept accounts payable number 112 for $94,653.59. Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
And that is for the paving, mostly. April Ashley took out a line of credit to make sure that that was covered this week. So that's all taken care of. And we're being able to pay for it. I'd like to move that we accept accounts payable number 113 for $7,092.38.
Aye.
I'd like to move that we accept the minutes of June 16th, 2025. Do I have a second?
Second. Aye.
And also had a special meeting on the 26th. I would like to move that we accept the minutes of the meeting as well.
Aye.
You weren't at that one. You came in 5 minutes late. The meeting was already over. I think it was a 2-minute meeting. The whole special meeting that we had was to get the salt taken care of. So that is okay. So next on the agenda, we have lots of paperwork today. Any citizens issues? I have 3 citizens here. Nope. Just is, okay, you are on the agenda later. Yep. Roads. Anything with roads?
They should have the base coat on the West Shore Road, but maybe they already do. What they're gonna do next? I don't even dare to assume. Again, keep your dogs off the hot top for a couple days. Appreciate it. So we do.
The dog shouldn't be on the road anyway.
Well, people like walking dogs, and I just don't want to see anybody get around, because it's really, it's like 180, 250.
Little footprints.
I mean,
Burn on their pads.
I know, but I was thinking,
oh, yeah.
it's like we do when we have concrete. So you'll work with April if something has to be posted for people to go slower.
I just have a general message up right now. Is there like a specific road that should be referencing, or just a general message enough?
West Shore.
Yeah, West Shore can expect delays because they're doing it all at once, the whole width. So you gotta wait for one driveway, that's something to get by them. The main road they'll be doing in 2 passes, so they'll always have.
In West Shore, there's another way to get around.
Yeah, right, but if you come out of Johnson Road and they're at the top of the hill.
Yep. Right.
But it's all, people are patient and be happy in the end, it's just a matter of here or there, inside, so.
And you know, it's all done. Everybody be griping about how fast everybody's speeding.
I've already gotten that. That's one way to slow them down. I talked to Gary yesterday. And he says, no, he says that ain't got any effect on
Yeah. I feel great that this is moving forward so quickly. So it's great.
that's a wonderful thing. I didn't realize that I saw this coming, that finding a place to put stuff was gonna be an issue, such an issue.
Gosh, we really need a lot down there in some.
Yep, yep.
Well, I mean, maybe we see those little power.
And you have to do that every day if you can't park it someplace.
Like I say, it's water gear because grinding, paving, the water gear. But I mean,
Somebody on Facebook to see if there's people who would.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, yeah.
Property or driveways.
well, it's just a matter of, it's gonna be kind of,
Well, you think of other people all over the place.
well, it would be nice if people were a little more. You know,
Forthcoming.
well, understanding, you know, just a temporary thing.
You can park in my driveway if you want.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm thinking of somebody like Gary Cromwell, who has a great big yard. I mean, he might be willing
you
to,
probably would have been. Meeting, you know, then I gotta take somebody down and show them. But.
Yeah.
The foreman. He's a fire tanker sitting there and assumed. That the town owned that law. And
Yep. Yep. appropriate assumption.
Go ahead, Ron, for that, but some things are under control. No control, like-
Yep.
The town hall, like, the word. Well, not the part there. Something that didn't appear to be an issue, but it's still. But anyway, other than that, I think it's going good. I look forward to seeing its completion. As always, these jobs. It's stressful, and then when you're done, you go.
Nice to each other and a little bit more patience, and if somebody has a question, they can come and talk to us. Remember, they can always call.
Call you. Yep, yep.
I'd rather not do that than be upset or have hard feelings, stuff, call me, let's talk about it, let's solve the problem.
Committee reports, anything, any update?
I can give you a few updates on properties. So Jimmy Cromwell, the gopher extraordinaire, has dug the trench for the electrical line to be replaced with brand new electrical line at the Wright House, and he even went under the paved walkway, which is where he got the name Gopher. And that'll go in the next time that Jack Swanton and Jim have time together and that it's not pouring rain out. So then that will be done. Chris Mallier and I spent some time today tearing off some more of the siding at the town hall building. And good news and bad news. The good news is the front still looks fine from everything we can see there. Bad news is the entirety of the north side is gone. So we're gonna put out develop a plan for that. I want to talk to Jason. What's his name? The contractor that has the front jobs. Chris suggested that he may be the best bet anyway, so I'll talk to him, see where he can guide us in that, and then if we have to put it out to others as an RFP, we can do that. So we're gonna hold off on doing anything else in terms of maintenance for that north side until the sills get fixed, and then we'll move on with the next step of replacing rotten boards on the siding and pressure washing and scraping and painting. And one of the plans is to present out to the property committee, because this is now when we can start getting some help from people coming in, and like the replacement of each of the window sills. It's kind of a individual because everyone's different sized. I'm gonna put it out, see if we've got some woodworking genius that has some spare time that wants to do that. Chris has offered to redo, I don't know if you've noticed, but above the windows, there's fan shaped. He said, if we can get them out in one piece, he's willing to take those and refurbish them so they can go back in. So we're here. We're at the time where we can start working on that sort of stuff now. So
Is there any way that, any grants available since you talked to the preservation people?
yeah, well, yes and no. So the unfortunate thing is we don't have time. Like that sill's gone. It needs to get replaced this summer. There's no way around that. It's got to happen. The granting, we can't get that in time. We're into 2 or 3 years. I think maybe I mentioned it from the historic preservation folks that came and said, there's 6 people that were in the state that worked for distributing federal grants. all got, the grant money is there,
Mhm.
but there's nobody to run the program, so they're scrambling. So they just pretty much said, you know, we will have applications and we will have grant monies, and this is the perfect building for it. But we don't have time. So we'll maybe get that for some of the other stuff we want to do there. So that's that one. Here, I've slowed down after I cut the bushes. Now I gotta get the roots out, and then you're gonna take over with your flower girls.
Because you're gonna paint first, right? 'Cause
Yeah, we can pressure wash and
We need
paint.
to transplant some plants, but we're
holding off until, we don't want to put anything here until you guys finish it.
It's done. So,
Yep. But we're ready.
Yeah. Great. So we're moving forward on that. I think that's all I got.
I think it's a weekly update with, the different meetings and whatnot.
It is, but it was slow, but now I think we're like, boots are hitting the ground and we're gonna start moving quickly, so.
Okay. Next one was in the select board business, and one of the first things we have are appointments, and, we need to,
To approve a whole list of appointments.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, I don't think in the past we have, these like, we've done this, like, most of the annual review.
so if there are any,
We're running up in June. So, there's nothing controversial, there'll be a few that we're gonna do on the 14th, but I heard back to see if it's still work. But it's the 3 appointments.
so,
I talked to people this weekend and we have interest in at least the Conservation Commission and the Property Management and also the Appeals Board. So, and they all know that they can do the form online. So, hopefully we'll get some feedback, and actually I see their names, a couple of the names are right here.
Yeah.
So I'd like to make a motion that we approve this lengthy list of annual appointments for the different committees, including the cemetery, the code enforcement officer, conservation, harbor committee, well, basically all of our committees. Do I have a second?
All right.
all right.
We need to,
All the procedures for rejecting a license code and permitting demolitions,
based on our process. We, I did talk to the
code enforcement officer about an issue with,
on the Crooker Road with BMC diving. He went and looked at the site. One of our select board members also looked at the site. As far as we can tell, they're still building a barn or whatever it is that they're building, but they saw no violation, no one was using it for their own business. So at this point in time, there's no action to take.
no.
His vehicles to the, but I mean, he lives there and just brings his. But the garage that. Is not even done.
Right, it's not even being, it's not finished being built yet. So Gary said there was nothing there to report. So our suggestion would probably be to have the planning board, or if somebody wants to come back to the select board, but basically we just monitor that maybe once it's built. But at this point in time, based on our process, since it was given to us to address, we went to the CEO, he's looked at it, and there's nothing else to do. So, right, and the select board will communicate with,
And writing to the town official.
we will,
I know to the individual, I think it was Steve.
I think we probably want to go through the second for that.
Yeah. All right, I'd like to make a motion that we, decide that there is no
violation for the issue with Crooker Road and BMC diving. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
And who will do the
Yeah.
notification?
I can do that. I'll draft something in. go on my list. All right, next on our list is, a little matter with the lawyers. With, Camden Law. From the estate of Claude Broughton. Bruton.
Is there?
Broutin.
That's an R.
Yeah.
Broutin. Bruton. Dear beneficiary, on behalf of Marianne Masters, personal representative of the estate of Claude A. Bruton, I am pleased to enclose a check in the amount of $27,226.75 in full satisfaction of the bequest from Mr. Bruton in Article 2B of his last will and testament. A copy of the bequest is enclosed. Basically, Claude Bruton left 30% of his estate with us. So there are two checks. This is a second check, which I think happened after they got everything finally cleared. So we received a check for 27,000 that will go into the reserve account for
the fire department.
yeah, it was specifically stated that it should go to the fire department. And since we know there's a little issue with building, we figured it's a perfect place to put that. The second one, I won't read the whole thing again, but basically this is a check in the amount of $855,000. That will also go into the capital reserve account. So we'll put that money, Ashley will take care of that, make sure we put it someplace where we get some interest. 855,000. So basically it was a total about.
So we're gonna put a little dent.
Into whatever is decided. And this money will not be used to pay, 50,000 will be used to pay for the architect and those kind of things. But once we get that, then this money will certainly help to put a dent in the work that has to be done, whatever it is that it is decided. But that should make you feel pretty good there. It's a nice start.
Kim, you had talked about ways we could use that.
My other thought was in
Those were great ideas, and I was thinking maybe we should meet with Monique, is that?
Yeah, and I
And-
suspect that April actually
Ashley?
already has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And talk to her about that, but go ahead, Kim, I'm sorry.
Do I have to sign this?
You can make a motion, yeah, it's important to make a motion to set the photos and have a second.
Yep.
Because you get a.
Okay, that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
So I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Part of the first company investors. And so there's a different business unit within the bank that investing that gets you a higher. On a regular basis. So we're getting about 4% on checking. This would have given us a minimum of about 5%. So if we talk to maybe push it back in that direction of that gentleman. And actually, I believe it was part of the success, and she should put it in mind.
Yeah, I know she's already been looking into this because she is also, I
think she was there for 2 Thursdays.
yeah, yeah. Because she told me she had been to the bank to talk to Monique.
We're still many of the discussion.
Well, and I'm sure that Monique would send her to whoever. Yeah.
Is this a problem to be in there for a while? Because I don't know how quickly we can.
Get feedback from the,
And
we also haven't heard from MMA yet to find out whether they say that you can't even, use the building. We don't know what MMA will say. We're still waiting to hear back from them. Jeff?
The part of it is anything that's gonna be in brand for so it's even more reason to.
which I think, I believe they are, yeah.
Yeah, actually, I have complete trust in Ashley and I know she's taking care of that. So what I'd like to do is make a motion that we accept, Both?
That's fine, I guess. I think maybe check one at a time, because they're separate.
Okay, all right. So I'd like to, since I read the first one first, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the check for $27,226.75 as part of the bequest from Mr. Broughton.
Second. Aye.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept a check for $855,000 in
First of this, you can have a bequest from Mr. Broughton.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Now I need a sign.
Yep.
And today's date?
I guess I'd also make it a point as the beneficiary and speaking for the fire department, that we concur with accepting that check and putting it in the reserve.
It builds that up a little bit, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And April can put that in, yeah. Yeah, I know when we had heard about this, I was expecting something like maybe 300,000 because thinking, we're gonna get a third or 30%. And, how much is his place worth? And, so it was a nice surprise.
Goodbye.
And then we also were worried that it might be, there might be,
Yeah.
and obviously that didn't happen either because we got the check already.
Yeah.
Mm,
I said, "What do I need to do?" They said, "Nothing, you'll get in touch with you when it all comes through."
Right, exactly, right.
so it comes at a perfect timing. Couldn't have come at a better time.
Thank you, Claude.
Yes. All right, we need to, look at a payroll. Yeah.
So this is an annual thing we do, and this is so any select board member can sign a warrant.
Yeah.
The statute allows it for payroll, for education costs, and for. So, this is.
Yep.
Here, that allows anyone member.
Right.
People get paid. Because.
There's three of us that sign, and most of the time minimally two, but this just allows one person. Any of us to sign that. So I'd like to make a motion that we accept this policy for another year. Do I have a second?
Second. Aye.
Next on my list is,
The assessor's agent contract, and that was approved at our town meeting. And so we need to sign that and get him working since his contract runs out today. So this is a contract for the whole year with Josh Berry, who represents RCS Assessment Services, and he's been there for the past 6 months doing work with us. We really like him.
so,
It's $24,000 for a whole year.
basically,
So I'd like to move that we accept this contract and sign it. Do I have a second?
Second. Aye.
approval of proposed liquor license.
Kim, you had a comment about this one.
Yeah, Jeff, unfortunately, The state of Maine has stepped up into the current century with liquor licenses and it's all done online now. So there are no more paper. So you'll have to
So I
go.
can do the forms online and then we're ready to.
Nope, you don't even have to bring it to us. It comes automatically electronically once you, yeah, so you go online, you set up your account. Then you choose what you want, and in your case, Incorporated Civic Organization.
Yeah.
Fill out the application, pay the fee. And then when you hit submit, it automatically will come to April's inbox. And the application will be there for the town to give their approval. And once the town signs off, then your liquor inspector signs off and you get a license in the mail, by email.
And then we have, I believe last year where we, as a select board, gave April approval to, approve those unless it's something strange or new or something. So
This is a yearly thing with FOIA, so it's like she can approve it without us having to have a meeting on it.
Sure.
so
You're the tech person, you'll have no problem figuring that out, right?
Oh, yeah, I do a lot of Babel. Just Babel, a Babel form? Yeah, so.
A Babel form?
Bablo,
Babel, I was gonna say, that's a language.
Bureau of Alcoholic Beverages and Lottery Operations.
Ah, okay, it's not the same Babel.
Well, they do babble a lot.
It's not in Bell, it's not Bell. so it's
Yes,
Bell.
it is. No, it's
Bell?
bells. Yep.
Really?
next time is I just want to give a quick update, because we now had exact places on city.
And then I'm trying to find that email. It came from Mary Ellen.
We did forwarding those,
Okay, she had listed exactly the places. That on Westport Island that was covered.
While you're looking at that, I'll mention that we got it. And we still have Spectrum as well, and the jury's still out. At least in our location, in our home, the Spectrum signal is stronger and goes farther. Fidium came back and said, well, here, you need one of these accelerators, which then you can plug in someplace and it'll take it further. So, and as everybody's talked about on Facebook, Spectrum has come back and given us, 1 gig of service for half of the price. And, they're doing their hard sales pitch. So
It's actually competition is always good.
I spent an hour on the phone this morning, so I canceled.
Spectrum.
yeah, they won't let you, will they?
I told her it had nothing to do with the money, didn't matter how cheap. So I explained to her how I'd been trying for 3.5 years and told her the whole rigmarole. And told her quite the story. And I said, so she was willing to give me a deal for $40 instead of the $50 for a year. And I said, yeah, it's gonna jump up again. And I said, and I have no trust whatsoever. It has nothing to do with the money. It has to do with the fact that
Spectrum has not provided any quality service for me. And everybody has been super nice, and she was very, very nice. And I felt bad for her, but because she just needed to convince me, and she couldn't after an hour. So while we're on that, I do have a question since we have tech people here. I'm gonna unplug everything, but there's a wire that connects to outside, and I need to get the modem and the router, and it's like, do I have to cut the wire or what?
you can tell us unplug the modem.
No, well, there's a modem and a router,
Yeah.
and something goes into the cable.
Right.
Yeah, you should be able to disconnect the cable at the router.
Yeah.
And the mo-
and I was trying to pull it apart.
It's hard.
It's a white wire.
Did you try and like?
We looked at one of them, because I think that's instead of that.
Yeah, because it was on the wall and it says do not remove, and it's like, well, how do I give it back if it says do not remove?
Yeah.
So, and I didn't want Spectrum coming, and I wanted to take it to the store. Yeah.
Just.
Nope, it's a white wire, and it's
Is it a
in,
telephone plug-in or?
it's just
Can
a
you plug
white
in from it?
skinny wire. I'd bring it with me, but I couldn't.
I don't know, I'll have to take it back.
Yeah, this is an example of why.
So I tried going online to check with Spectrum to say, how do you disconnect things? There was nothing on there. They gave me took me all sorts of places. Get this form, go to this place. So then I said, I'm gonna call the store. The store takes you to the same place and tells you all the things you can do. So, but anyway, here's what Fidium does right now. Yeah,
let me start with 1257. Main Road, that's how far
south it goes.
75 Post Office Road, then it stops. Are you on there?
The telephone line between Kitty and Susan Steyer's house and our house, there are no lines. It's a.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Back to there.
So 305 West Shore Road then stops. No,
Hopkins Road. Bay Shore Road, yes.
It was the given plan, so put them down to the West Shore Road.
Yeah, where's the?
305 West Shore Road.
So that's down with Jeanette Harrison's place. So it's going past Davies and all to that house on the corner there. Going up
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Ah, okay. Yep, yep. The nice house on the left there. Yep.
So it's probably not too long till I get down that way eventually.
Well, it's kind of
Pretty close to you, yeah, yeah. Either side of you, but not you.
Weird, that's good, but, cause then from there, like colonies and all that. Yeah, over it all.
Yeah, it seems like it could just go right around the block.
They don't like common sense, I'll keep going, that's all.
Yeah. Well, Roseburg Road, yes. Coastside Way, yes. Oak Run, yes. Assuming all other roads north of these roads are yes. And if there's any variability, please contact Evan.
Well, 57 is right, that's what's going on.
1257 Main Road, and
Okay.
No, there's
nothing about each,
Well, okay.
East Shore at all.
It used to be a big spectrum. Didn't it? I
Spectrum
mean,
Road, yeah.
the old spectrum. So I was assuming they were wiring up all the areas that were the old coax. So that's it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Originally,
We don't know.
in the work,
Yeah.
they did,
Yeah.
they were trying to
Yeah.
squeeze this into a corner, but they didn't go home.
they didn't fit in.
Yeah.
Huh.
I was gonna say, considering when we moved on to the island in '99. There was a significant amount of time that didn't even have spectrum and they kept offering and we would call them and they'd say, oh, well, we don't have lines to there.
right. You know, I had dial-up for a long time and I worked long distance. Yeah, yeah, that,
And they possibly can't.
yep, yep. Well, I've been waiting a while for Fidium because I had heard that, there was gonna be competition. It feels really good because I think we need competition. And if it's bringing the price down for people and they choose to stay with Spectrum, that's fine, but at least they're getting now a better deal than what they were getting.
Again, what I've heard from Gene Selection is that they, and the problem is the Wi-Fi router. Is the video vision. And I just looked, I just looked up the video installation of the White House. We were on flop with friends from Spectrum City. And the guys in the pitch know you gotta use the Fidium router because that's the way I can guarantee that you're getting the service. But I'm expecting based on what you told us, we were gonna go back to our own Wi-Fi router.
No, they brought equipment. They, yeah. Oh, okay.
I'm saying, yeah, no.
So you're saying
You're installing your equipment, I'm saying, what I'm hearing from Gene, it's not very good.
that's my experience. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I think the preference was that you're right. So I used my own. But, right after I was at my home. So we'll see.
Right.
But that's just put that down, that the Wi-Fi router, maybe, well,
Might be the issue. And the extender piece is an extra $5 a month. So
extending it to different parts of the park.
Yeah.
Do you use the record, they just walk on the stall that way, and they just out.
They do, and there's some points of them, they can, it's all their equipment, they can talk to. That way they can say, well, I'm not getting it. But the fact is, that router, you may have like a date to that router, but it's not getting out.
Yeah.
You know, you may only have the 50 megs or whatever on your laptop, your computer. So this is the Spectrum was the same way. They gave me their own stuff, and they said, no, I don't want.
So hopefully the competition.
That works. And now there's an option. It's like if you didn't like Spectrum, you had no other choice. This way, now,
Spectrum did send us all new equipment as well, and it was there the next day on a Saturday. It's like, what, you know, so.
Yeah.
Just
All right.
makes me ugly, you know, for the same reason too, you know, they're not losing money at the $40 a month, but we were paying 100, so.
Wow.
Man.
all right, next on our agenda is the deer issue. Kim, you want to talk about that?
Yep, so I wrote to the Inland Fisheries and Wildlife biologist out of the Sydney office
Yes, we didn't do
to
that.
ask them to come do a little bit of analysis on our deer population, because all indications are that our deer population is growing at a very fast rate, and typically hunting is what takes care of the population. We're not doing very well on Westport with that. So there are a lot of indicators out there that say, you know, if we don't manage the deer herd, it's going to get even worse off than it is right now, and it's already bad. So the things that we're seeing are, for instance, Jeff, you in your backfield, a few nights ago, there were 14 male deer all bunched together. A typical male, they call them bachelor groups in June and July, they hang together. Typical groups are 3 to 5 deer.
I've only seen 4 together.
Yeah, so
14,
so I've seen them, Brian has seen them. We're taking pictures of them. You got one 3-legged one out there, a nice big buck with 3 legs.
Wow.
So that's an indicator. The fact that the deer are eating all sorts of domestic vegetation, things that they typically don't eat and probably shouldn't eat, like my mint plants.
Yeah.
There's really no nutrition in a deer. Have them eating rhododendrons. Odd that they would eat rhododendrons, mint plants, you know, just the off sorts of things that they're eating. So they're, yeah, I mean, I've got deer that will come up right on the wooden walkways now, and I knocked at one through the window the other morning at 4:20, and they were like 4 feet from the window, and I knocked, and they just kind of looked up at me and went right back to looking for food. And so, anyway, yeah.
Like our cows.
You know, the very
Yeah, exactly, that's.
Yeah.
That's like domesticated.
And
Animals are popular.
Who did you send it to, Kim?
we have 10 car deer accidents this year so
That's,
far.
well, yeah,
I'm just saying,
Yeah,
that's a good one.
12 years.
Yeah, so
I was 14.
So who I wrote to is there were 3 biologists that work out of the Sydney office, and they cover this part of the state. So I just asked them if they would come talk to us, look at it, and maybe come up with some management tools. There are other management tools that can be used, like assassins, which are used in other places when they find a place like this. So our population is increasing, our habitat for them is decreasing. We clearly don't have enough of the right kinds of food for them because they're eating things they shouldn't be eating. I saw one the other day, a female that was laying out in full exposure in the sunlight, and she was chewing her cud, and that's not an abnormal behavior but where she was and the time of day was abnormal behavior. So anyway, we'll see what happens. Maybe they'll say something, maybe they won't, but
Yeah, I was born in Wisconsin. Next. They're everywhere, they need to figure.
yeah.
Close come by, it's bad.
You know, it's called, fast, 45 is, got broke.
Yeah, but I just care about Westport Island. I don't care about the rest of it.
But they got black on the same thing we've been on Georgetown, you know, years.
So, you know, some of the things that they do, like this year, they already have said a regular big game license gets you a buck or a doe for your first deer. And then if you want to get more deer after that, you can come get more doe permits. But that's the first time in history where you could shoot a doe right off the bat. But we just don't have, I don't think we have enough hunters on the island, and we're losing land for hunting. We don't have enough places
Whatever you
to hunt.
it's like, that's not where you hunt.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the day I stopped the other house, 2 doors down the other side of Kitfield,
Oh, yeah, she feeds them.
right down there. And then I went to Jim Dutton's house Sunday. And just about rubbing up the side of his house too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the truck was there,
yeah, yeah.
and
I see him running almost every time I go by here. Cross
right by Ron's, I seen him coming down the outside with him.
I never don't see her.
yeah,
Always, yeah.
Right.
yeah, I think daily.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think if we don't do something with them, the diseases are going to start setting in, and then we're going to have a problem. Yeah. So we're kind of at that tipping point. So,
All right, 2 more items. I think this one is a quick one. Let's look at the RFP for the tree removal. Do you want to talk about that, Kim?
yep, the tree removal at the Wright Landing House. We are putting out an RFP for, since we've gone so far past the time frame that we had last year, thoughts of putting out. So we've got 14 big pine trees to come down. I threw in the one birch tree that's behind one of the sheds that's just gangly and deadly, and I don't know why it wasn't included the first time around, but we missed it, whatever. So it's in there, putting out, we're gonna look for a licensed arborist to do the work. Jimmy, you're gonna go with me at some point and we'll mark off where a truck can safely cross the septic system line and the water line, so that they can go in and take them down with trucks, not necessarily having to climb. And hopefully we'll get some good bids back, and hopefully we can afford to have it done quickly. So the plan is we'll have the arborist take them down, take all of the vegetation off site, and then we'll rent a stump grinder and go in and grind all the stumps down. That'll be fun. And then, and then we will replant. And in the RFP, we've asked that the arborist present the replanting plan, reforestation plan, because it just looks like, I think it gives it more credibility to the DEP.
Yeah.
And where it's in the shoreline zone.
Right, that was something Gary had said. And the bids are due back on July 14th at 6 o'clock. And so we're hoping to have some feedback.
You can approve this?
Okay. So I'd like to move that we approve the request for proposal so we can get out the door. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
And I think as we've done in the past, we probably should send them to. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's-
Yeah, don't worry. Got there.
So.
They might not be
I know Harvard to send it to, you also have, like, yes, David, I don't know the last name offhand. Do we need the arborist on the island?
It was somebody that mentioned online that he was an arborist. It was on Facebook.
Somebody new.
Yeah.
We just got back into business, he's been, this is not, he's been other things for a little while.
There's a guy that cut, or sure, was he's not on the island, but
Yeah.
I'm sure you can handle this stuff.
So we could also do, talk.
Nathan Northrop. Yeah, Northrop's. So that brings up another question. Is this an okay time to ask a question? I would like that somehow, maybe if we haven't already got it in there, have some sort of policy that when we put an RFP out, that we give an extra point to, in our scoring or however we make the decision to somebody on the island. That like if we've got 2 people and they're close enough and they, in their bids and they're both equally qualified, I think we owe it to our residents to go with them. We can make that an official thing. or not, but-
Yeah, I'd like to talk further about that because it depends what the job is and we didn't do it for the for the town hall because of a couple of issues.
Right.
So,
But if they're equal,
you're right, if they're equal, yeah.
I think we should favor our own.
Yeah.
Contractors.
I think my recollection was, that's an good MMA question, how much you can do to make it formal.
Right.
I think we had to craft one of the RFPs in such a way that.
You
to
could
sort
get
of-
points or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
yeah.
You know, look and see, what are you gonna be doing, for the island, Jersey Island?
Yeah.
So we want to have covers. It's no fun.
Okay.
We wanna make sure we have people on the island who get there quickly.
Mhm.
We wrote that in.
Yeah, I think certain things it would work, but I'm thinking there are times that it wouldn't work. So, but maybe it depends specifically on the RFP that we write, where we could do that.
So the last on our agenda is
Actually, revisiting and of the memorandum of understanding between the Westport Island History Committee and Friends of Westport, and you had sent it to us, Deb. So I'm assuming you wanted to talk about it. We had some talk about it.
Because it's attached to the email that April sent. And it's part of this that I was saying that we've been operating like something, but formally, we should.
Right, and one of the challenges, and we reviewed this, and you know, we're still having this discussion about whether somebody like FOIA should pay the $35 as an organization, just like WCA does when you have an event, and you're saying it's connected to WIHC and that they're really the ones doing it, so they shouldn't have to pay. Somebody still has to pay for somebody to clean it. But one of the things that I was reading that just said that the description of the two organizations' roles, that the history committee itself, which oversees, collects, and preserves and stores Westport Island's historical documents. And then FOIA's job, their role is to educate, communicate, support research, et cetera, et cetera. So it feels like when you're doing something, having an event where you're educating and communicating, that it really is a FOIA event, not a history committee event. So in that case, if you're presenting something at where you're going to have people come and possibly accept donations and whatnot, would that be a time that it's a FOIA thing rather than a HSC thing?
We've not really made a mistake because the Friends really are trying to do what was part of the history committee's charge, which was to preserve and share from local historical history. It's just partly because we could get more private money, donations to do things like events that do cost money. So that's partly why we're doing that. But I'll also say just a little side that thinking about this is how I look at things 5 years ago.
Yeah, and this was actually 5 years ago.
And that's what when I'm coming out because benefit to the history creating funds because we wanted a 501c3.
Mhm.
Well, now a lot of the activity focuses on 501c3. We're still doing the preservation stuff, but a lot of it is more now outward facing. And maybe we should look at this and say maybe this is now maybe kind of scale things back in terms of the relationship. But I'm saying the internal lab and saying that this may be a good time for us to rethink how we're doing.
Yeah, I really think we need to revisit this, but just reading that makes me feel like when you have an event and you're out there educating and sharing and also asking for donations, that's a FOIA event. And we're just talking about $35 to pay for Dee Dee to clean.
And Dee actually, unfortunately, yesterday ended up doing.
That is not fair. It's not fair for her to do
Because
that.
it also sets a precedent.
Well, I'm trying to get actually to other people. I'm trying to do it, but when they take me out.
But it sets a precedent that puts other employees under pressure for free too. So we've really been trying to get Dee not to do things for free, and she'll do the cleaning too much. Like she's
It's gonna do the cleaning whether you do it or not.
Yeah, and if you pay the
Just let her do
$35,
it, pay her that.
The bigger thing is just going back to the fundamental idea of some to do things and have events using the facility so that what the other costs is facilities for the operations.
well, and WCA has access to all the facilities as well, but they also pay $35 when they. Yeah.
But we do want to get
And all we're asking is, because you're doing it, and I think we do need to revisit this and be really clear about who's doing the activity. Just because that town hall is always cleaned, no matter who uses it. So if a committee uses it and it's a committee that is part of our regular committees, then, you know, we're gonna have to clean it anyway, and we're gonna have to pay Dee Dee to do it, or whoever, but we have to pay somebody. In the case of like WCA and FOIA, because you're 501c3, we do charge. And again, we're going to pay somebody to clean it. And when we just have a regular committee, like if the Conservation Commission did it, they're not going to be charged, but we're still going to have to pay, and it's the town that's going to pay that $35 to pay to have it cleaned.
So
And that's the difference.
You're saying you're making a policy to always pay the cleaning fee for any event there, whether it's.
We have been,
or-
yes, we have been doing that.
Yeah, that's already written up in a
Yeah.
policy somewhere, but this is because there just wasn't a system, and it wasn't being cleaned consistently between renters. You had renters do it, and some renters did a great job, some renters did a bad job, and sometimes Stevie did it, sometimes she did it, sometimes Stevie got paid, sometimes. So we were just like, look. Same standard.
Yeah.
So that when a renter comes in, they're not surprised, we don't get complaints. So
I think that's every policy that come from the perspective of the history committee response, not from the town hall committee. Took responsibility. Mostly it was people expecting, we only come in if it got bad, like last year after the.
That's really what got us to do. And so, yeah, ever since then, no matter what the activity is, even though, you know, like WCL clean up afterwards, we take the garbage and stuff, but we know, and we've paid the $35, we know that even after we pick up all our trash and we sweep, we know that Dee Dee's gonna come in afterwards because we forgot something.
you can't inspect the toilet, you know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
the toilets have to be cleaned every time.
Yeah.
And the $35 comes from the attorney, actually, when we were working on redoing all these documents for the rentals, and they said, you have to charge. You can't not charge, because then you're giving away public money to private entities.
So I can write, you know, or $10 bucks to pay for that. You don't have to tell me that's where it came from.
No, and we don't want her to donate either. So I think it would be good for her to know that she's not donating her time. We're paying for it.
I know this year that, like, church people rent the place. And our insurance can cover that as well. So the town's not at risk because it's got our general liability.
There's that issue as well. Yeah.
But we'd like to not have insurance cost.
The $35 is the rental.
I thought we should check.
Oh, okay, I think I know what this was saying. There's $100 fee, that's the security deposit. So what WCA did, they paid it to us once. We just keep it. We don't trade it back and forth. And it's just our file. So that did come up again with the attorney. And I think we had to, this more like, we really have to charge the WCA security deposit. It has to be consistent. His point, we can't make exceptions. So, yeah, you have to pay $100 security deposit if you want to use it. You can make it easier after the first. I think it makes the most sense to have for treat it just like the WCA.
Yeah, or you could pay the $100, and at the end of the event, if you haven't destroyed anything,
If you want
you
to
can get your $100 back.
you don't use it as often or as consistently as the
WCA does.
so maybe just for the summer.
Yeah, it's going to be, do something big. Otherwise, we're going to use this.
Yeah, so you know, you're gonna be doing 3 events this summer.
So we're going to need to do it. When we're.
Yeah, if you're doing it 3 times, then it makes sense. Go ahead and pay the $100 as security deposit. At the end of the summer, you get the $100 back. But still, then every time you rent it, basically it's at cleaning fee every time. And, you know, WCA does the same thing, and I know we had issues with WCA about it. It's like, this is a community event, why are we having to pay? Because it's gotta be cleaned, and we all want that to be cleaned, and we don't want anybody doing it for free, and anybody just donating their time. That doesn't feel fair either. Because as April said too, then it also sets a precedent. It's like, well, why don't you do it for me? You know, so-and-so did it for me, and can't you do it? And just trying to be as fair and equitable as possible for everybody. So, but at some point in time, it probably would be good. This is 5 years old. It might be good to put that on at some point in time and.
Well, because this is sort of the backstory to the. We've had the right to do so as long as you agree.
Mhm.
When you change, you still have to agree. In fact, you still really should be.
There will be a lease that'll come out.
Yeah, I'm saying, but even the least, it's still a town building.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
it's still a town committee.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I think the
yeah.
point is, one authority to deal with the select board, when think about what you want. There's a history committee, it's kind of like an anomaly, most towns don't have that, they have
Mhm.
historical society.
Yep.
But there was some benefits to us, in being this hybrid.
Mhm.
But it's less beneficial than best.
Yeah, there are just sometimes it's like, it's clear when there's a committee, and committees are treated one way. And then I look at WCA, which is, you know, the 501, and so because you're sort of a combo, it gets messy, where it's really clear WCA is not treated the same way as all the other committees are. You know, they have to pay a fee anytime they rent that space. They have to have insurance, which, you know, is well over $1,000. I know you went to one of those meetings when we were discussing that issue. So there are very clear distinctions between committees and the 501. And so we probably need to really make this really clear eventually, but not today, but just wanted to share our concern. And it goes back again to making sure that people get paid for it's really the cleaning issue and now it sounds like the $100 deposit. Give us $100 for the summer, take the $100 back at the end of the summer. It just, that's secure. Yeah. If you don't see it anymore, but it'll be on file just like it is with WCA.
One other issue I wanted to tease out that I think was important here is 501s, fundraise committees. So.
Right.
I trying to make really clear we have issues with. We have to say, no, but it's started 501. So that's why it's also important to.
Have separation.
distinguish between the two things, who's hosting what. If there's fundraising going on and the history is hosting, then people are getting confused. So.
Well, it's confusing when we're talking about two different things, but we're all doing the same thing. I have three people in we're the history.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter, we got two half for the history.
You're the same exact people.
Our Facebook, says West Rhode Island history. It's not the friends, it's not the history.
The history committee. You have a Facebook page, but part of our country. So it is.
So this is exactly why, you know, having we need to sit down sometime and just say, okay, this is what FOIA does, this is what the committee does, and just be real clear about that. So just on paper.
Talk about responsibility. That's how it is. Basically, is where it's going to be.
Exactly. Yeah. But what the committee can do versus what the 501 can do.
What you expect a lot.
Exactly. Yeah. But we'll work on that, but we just, and since we had the issue a few weeks ago when you'd asked about who's hosting it, you know, I'm hoping that, you know, the FOIA and the history committee, when they realize why we're doing what we're doing, and it's really for the consistency, and rules that we've set for a committee versus a 501. So did you guys have any other thoughts? Nope. Okay. Yeah.
I think. Before question. Talk to some other folks about the winter law. But has anyone come and talk about his account? You're on the document?
Yeah, I have a little info on that because I put it in my newsletter, so I've heard from a few residents. So essentially. It doesn't kill the trees either. So there's not much you can do right now. There's something you can do. in the Spring. Like the fall last year, we did nothing really in spring. Which I think is something about sticky bands on the base of your tree.
Yes.
Yes, and in the spring, there's a kind of spraying. But we just didn't know it was gonna be so bad until it happened. The Department of. Forestry.
Yeah.
They are releasing predatory moths around here, so. It's not all West Fork, but on Georgetown and Pittsburgh and a few other places where it got bad. I don't think there's. It was bad.
Kind of those those pictures, could we maybe ask and see, could we, because I don't know if they're gonna get over from Georgetown to here.
Yeah.
But yeah, for some folks, it's the second year, they've got their trees seriously damaged.
After a while, they will.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's like, okay, can we at least say please? And they can just say no. But it'd be nice actually, if the town did ask for that, same prophylactic.
Well, maybe we can see if, maybe I'll do the loss, but see if there's someone who could come speak about it, like maybe a little closer. To the fall, we can do something.
City tape would be something, but we got a lot of trees.
Yeah, I know.
People in their yards will do, Ken Shepherd will do his special trees.
Yeah, he's been doing that for years. Yeah, and actually, Jeff, one of the things we're trying to do, and we have some new people, I hope, for the Conservation Commission. And that, I know when we talked about the little guy that I can't remember, yeah.
Somebody indulged, yes.
Yeah, that, Ken brought that to the Conservation Commission and eventually we had a presentation or whatever. So I'm thinking that's one place where, we could get some people involved, and I'm hoping, Dick, who's done a wonderful job, is, ready to let go of being chair. So we're just trying to make that transition, and hopefully we'll do that soon this summer. And that would be something that I think would be something that they could tackle, and at least find somebody and sort of be in charge of that, getting that out to people, having a presentation or whatever else. So my hope is that that'll happen soon. I can keep my fingers crossed.
In the meantime, if you'd like, I can reach out to forestry.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get one of the foresters to.
So if there are no other announcements or anything else, then I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn. I have a second.
Second.
Right.
Hi.
All right. Close the door.
Really?